I see dead people.
Welcome to Blondes and Booze. You are about to embark on a journey, one that often leads to more questions than answers. But fear not, your host, Krista, Aaron, and Brandy have the experience, the perseverance, and yes, even the gifts to pull back the veil and allow us to glimpse the other side. They will share not only their experiences, but will introduce you to world-renowned researchers and experiencers to help you find answers in the murky waters of what we call the paranormal. Their bonds with each other reach far beyond friendship, resulting in a pull-no-punches approach to the many subjects they explore. Their goal? To open eyes, hearts, and even minds to what lies on the other side, and the answers residing there.
Everybody, welcome.
Hey, welcome.
Glad to have everybody here tuning in tonight. Looks like everybody's kind of trickling in, and we'll give everybody a couple minutes to get in. But we have a pretty cool show tonight. We have Shetan, and she's here to talk about a little bit of everything. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying that I love people who have a little bit of everything. That way there's so much to talk about.
Right. And all this weird world that we live in, huh?
Exactly.
Yep, for sure. So before we get going, I'm just going to go ahead and while we're giving everybody time to get in here, let's go over some of the conferences we're going to be at. And this one is actually coming up. It's the Alabama Bigfoot Conference, June 9th and 10th, and our very own Tex is going to be a speaker there. So if you guys are in the Alabama area, go check it out. We will be there, and it's got some cool speakers. So it's going to be a fun conference. We're looking forward to it anyway.
That's what happens when you do 2 shows a day.
Right? I'm on my second for the day. And then we have this one here. This is our event, and this is at Malvern Manor in Malvern, Iowa. And Josh Hurd, Dr. Rebecca Foster, Richard Estep, Tex will be up, Terry Mosby, and we're going to do an overnight at Malvern Manor. And hopefully we can talk Terry into maybe going outside and let's looking at the skies a little bit and that good stuff too. So that's going to be a fun one. And then I'm going to put this one up also. This is Shadows of Rockford with the Kling brothers. And this is going to be a fun one. It's up near Chicago. And you get like 2 haunted locations and there's speakers. Richard Estep will be there along with Dana Stricker. So it's going to be a fun one. I'm really looking forward.
Oh yeah. You know, to get that platinum, the platinum VIP is well worth it because all of it is included.
Yep, absolutely. So, and Brandy and I will definitely be at that one. And then I'm going to put this one up too. We're also looking forward to this one. This is the Dogman Cryptid Conference in outside of Fort Worth, Texas. So we're looking forward to this one too, because a lot of our friends are speakers and going to be there. So it's going to be a good one also. So anyway, if you guys are in the Texas area, look that one up. That'll be a good one.
Yeah, that one's going to be so much fun because we don't have to do nothing. We get to sit and watch with everyone else.
I know. I'm looking forward to that because usually,
I know. I was like, oh, good.
Yeah, we're usually doing something. So anyway, that's going to be a fun one. We're looking forward to that.
But I gotta say something real quick. Now, a couple weeks ago, I was in William Nighthawk's chat on one of his shows. Now, I usually listen to him Saturday mornings. And there was a lady in there, and she had given him something to help him keep negativity away. And I said, oh, my gosh, I need one of those, especially with everything going on with my life. And she made me one.
It's
It's
beautiful.
got stones and everything in it, and then it has copper on the back. It is to keep all the bad stuff
It's
away from me.
beautiful. Very
So,
nice.
Karen, if you're out there, thank you so much. I love it. It's beautiful.
Yes, yes, most definitely. Brandy, why don't you remind everybody what to watch?
Okay. On Mondays at 8 p.m., Texas Front Porch comes on. You can watch me and Tex there. On Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, Van Buren Variety. At 8 p.m. Central, you got Beyond BMR with Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central, Jason McLean questions everything. On Thursday at 12 p.m. Central, it's Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob and Krista. Thursday night, of course, is us at 8 p.m. Central, Blondes and Booze. And we really get weird on Friday at 8 p.m. with Blondes, Booze, and the Woo. On Saturday now, we have Infamous Minds with Tex and Danielle Diva, and they drop episodes at 2 p.m. every Saturday.
Yep, looking forward to it. Be a good show. I think they're part 2 of the smiley face killer.
Yeah, they said that they're digging up more and more information that it may go to 3 parts.
Oh wow,
So,
that's crazy.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So if you've not watched the first part, start watching because it's supposed to be really, really good by the time they get to the end.
Right. That's cool. Very cool. So let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and bring Shetan up. Are you good with that, Brandy?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All righty.
Hi.
Hi.
It's
It's like I was telling her backstage. I said I haven't seen you since March.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you get to do very many conferences?
I do. This year is a little bit more laid back than years previous, just because I think all the conferences are finally able to like get their performer contracts fulfilled. So 2024 will open up a lot of doors, and I'll be doing a lot more conferences in 24. But I do a lot of library presentations and museum presentations also. So
Awesome.
Nice.
always in podcasts. So, and then I teach courses or classes online and at 2 different community colleges. So that also helps keep me busy.
Yes. You stay
Busy.
busy.
How can you breathe? With all that going on.
Right.
Deep breaths every once in a while.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody out there, if you're coming through the Facebook link, go ahead and give StreamYard permission to use your name so we can see who you are. If not, come on over to YouTube to Blondes and Booze and like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yep.
I feel like a little.
Well, real quick, I want to remind everybody, if you have a question, please put it in all caps, and we will answer questions the second half of the show.
Yeah, because I'm blind as a bat. And I can't read all the little print.
Right. And I start them, and then we'll go back to them for sure. So we definitely appreciate everybody being here and having Shetan here. Thank you so much for doing this for us.
Oh, you are welcome. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, how did you actually start out?
I get asked that question.
Side, the paranormal side, UFO, what were you?
Yeah, so I get asked that question a lot, and so I'm not really that into the UFOs, just because I think it's a given that they exist and that there's alien species out there, and it's really, that's a no-brainer. But like the paranormal and cryptozoology, there are so many elements of that we still have to investigate and research and find out more information about. And I think that we can spend our whole lives, researching the paranormal and cryptozoology and still be asking questions, even after we join the paranormal, after we've, gone on to the next realm. It's like, well, how did I get here? What can I do now? So, but for me, my interest started when I was a young child. And for cryptozoology, it happened when we were camping at a campground. My family liked to go camping when I was a child. And that particular summer, they decided that we would try out a new campground, and it was called Crystal Lake Campground here in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it was a beautiful campground, crystal clear water in the lake. you know, nice bathrooms. They even did a family movie night. And they also had a you know, resident pet there at the campground that they kept in a large sized dog kennel outside. And it just happened to be a 6-foot alligator.
Oh my goodness.
And they would tell all the kids that they caught it from the lake. And so that meant, for me at least, there was no swimming, no fishing, no going out in a, you know, a rowboat, nothing. Because if they caught that one in there, there's got to be bigger ones in there. And you were going to convince, you know, me as a child, you know, of anything different. So if that wasn't enough, one of the weekends that we were there, they decided for family movie night that the perfect combination of films to show was the Patterson Gimlin film
Mm-hmm.
and The Legend of Boggy Creek.
Very cool.
Oh my goodness.
So once again, child me was like, nope, nope, nope. Hid in the women's bathroom for, you know, the rest of, you know, the next hour until two older ladies escorted me back to our truck camper. And it was like, okay, I want to know more, because obviously there's a lot of these things out there. And so then I started reading Fate magazine and every little book I could get on it. And back in that day, you would get these like chapter books that, you know, the book would have a chapter on, like, one on Atlantis and one on Bigfoot and one on Loch Ness Monster,
Yeah.
one on UFOs. And so you would, you know, you'd find every one of those that you could and read as much as you could about it. So that's what really started me into cryptozoology. And then for the paranormal, I always knew that there was another, you know, aspect of
Mm-hmm.
the afterlife, that spirits, you know, when people die, the spirits don't always leave. And so I got very, you know, interested in the paranormal aspects and having my own encounters throughout my lifetime of different paranormal experiences. I do know that, you know, the paranormal is real, and that they are, you know, there are spirits that, you know, linger here or just come to communicate with their ancestors or their, you know, their loved ones. And so that's what, you know, really got me going.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. You know, Brandy and I, we both started out in the paranormal, and then we went to the cryptid side.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, you know, and it, like we always say that. Well, me being from Michigan, well, Bigfoot, Dogman, they've always been a thing. You know, I've heard of
Oh,
you know,
right.
about it my whole life, but never really, you know, it was paranormal for me. It was all paranormal until I
yeah.
met Krista.
I do have to say something really, really quick. West
Yes.
Coast Dogman Project is in the house, Shane. And I got to tell you, I'm really sad you do your shows on Thursday nights, same night as ours. And I cannot do live chat. I'm
We're
just
sad
saying,
about it.
I always
We're
go back
sad.
and watch. However, I wish we could be in the live chat. But anyway, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Brady.
Oh,
We
it's
just
okay.
had to speak up and tell them how sad we are about it.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
So I mean, so paranormal. Let's talk about that for a second.
Sure.
What kind of experiences have you had? I mean, was it like shadow people or disembodied voices or?
So yes, so I typically, my encounters with things are disembodied voices, and I have had them happen in some of the weirdest locations. One of the ones that has always, like, you know, stood out to me was actually one that was recent, within the last 5 years or so, and it actually happened up in Mackinac City at the public restroom there. And I had been there in June, and at that time I had my little tiny dog Teagun with me.
Mhm.
And we had used the public restroom, and then me and my mom put our dogs back in the car, and I continued taking her up to Minnesota. So come end of August, I am coming back home from my Paracon, and I wanted to stop and get saltwater taffy and fudge and stuff like that for everybody back home. So I stopped and was like, well, I'm going to use the restroom first. So there wasn't anybody around.
Yeah.
Which was weird for Mackinac City, like before Labor Day.
Right.
So
yeah.
I went into the same bathroom stall, and then when I was about to exit the bathroom stall, a voice as clear as day said out loud, "What, no puppy this time?"
Oh, wow.
To the point where I started to answer back, "No, she's at home." And then I'm looking around like, well, wait, really?
Right. Yeah.
So I walked out of the stall. All the other bathroom stalls were empty. There was no other person inside that bathroom. There wasn't even anybody outside the bathrooms. So, Brandy, you being a Michigan girl, you understand how many people on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, are in Mackinac City.
A ton.
Because that's
a
one of the
ton.
gateways to Mackinac Island.
Yes.
And so something remembered that earlier that summer I had my little dog with me, and now I didn't have her with me, and really, was questioning, well, where's your dog? And so it just kind of really, caught me off guard. And it's usually in those moments when you are not expecting it that you get the activity, and you're like, I didn't even have a chance to record that. All I have is like, my experience to talk about. So a couple of months later, I was talking to Todd Clemmings, who does the paranormal tours up on Mackinac Island. And I'm like, Todd, this is what happened. He's like, well, it could have been the ghost from here or there. And I'm like, Todd, that's not the point. The point is it remembered.
It knew you didn't have your puppy with you.
Right. And he's like, and he said, well, she is a really cute little dog. I said, point well taken, but still, it remembered.
Right.
That would kind of freak me out a little bit.
Oh yeah, it totally caught me off guard, and it was like, well, that's interesting. You keep track of who goes into the bathroom and what they take in there with them. Okay.
Yeah. That's definitely an intelligent haunting.
Yeah. But the question was it male or female?
It was unisex. It didn't have a male
Didn't
quality
sound
to it.
either or.
It didn't have a female quality to it.
Gotcha.
But it was loud enough and spoken out loud that I responded to it.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, those are the ones that leave you dumbfounded. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's just one of like 5 that I can, like, off the top of my head, say, okay, this experience, was not what I was expecting, because I did not expect a paranormal experience in a public restroom.
Sure.
As I'm trying to just do mundane, normal things. And it's like, if I was at a haunted location, yeah, I would expect, something to interact, but in a public restroom.
Right. Catches you off guard.
Yeah, especially during the summertime. And it is like always busy. There's people everywhere. And then all of a sudden there's nobody.
Right.
Right.
Mm.
Oh, I get it. My daughter, there's a restaurant right by her house that she went in, they all went in and ate, and she called me freaking out. And she's like, there's a ghost in there. There's a ghost in the bathroom. And my oldest daughter, she's a believer, but she doesn't want anything to do with it. And so of course, guess where she and I had to go to lunch one day. She's like, well, I'm not going to the bathroom.
I do lunch and dinner.
I did a paranormal conference. Oh, I want to say about 8 years ago, up in it's up there by actually it's past it's north of West Branch. Is it Houghton or Houghton Lake? That's up there. I know one's in the UP and one's in Lower Michigan, but I was at the Anchor Inn, and my roommate at the cabin for the weekend was Exie Bruce Smith, and so she and I got along. But I had little Teagun with me, and the second morning that we went, I did not realize that she had already gotten there. So before all the attendees came in, I wanted to use the restroom. So went into the restroom, had Teagun with me, and she was sitting on my lap in the bathroom stall. And suddenly she jumped off my lap and she like jolts underneath the like partition wall and she starts growling. And I'm like, what the hell?
Wow.
Well, unfortunately, Exie was in the stall next to me and I didn't realize it. So she scared Exie. Exie screams and she's like, Teagun, don't you do that. And I was like, oh my God, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. She's like, I thought that the thing that haunts this bathroom was reaching underneath the stall wall to grab me. She's like, because it does shit like that. And I'm like, wait, this bathroom's haunted? She's like, oh yeah, they didn't tell you that? I said, no, they didn't tell me anything about that. And so good thing we were both sitting down, so, if we had to pee ourselves, that was the perfect location to pee ourselves if we had to. So that was, one where, yes, it was haunted, but once again, you're not expecting anything when you're in a bathroom stall, especially when, you're just like, I want to get, to my table before, attendees come in and not realizing that your roommate's in the very next stall and you like, jump scare each other. It's like,
right. Most definitely. I'm gonna go ahead and ask you this question because I know
Sure.
getting ready to do a show real quick. But Shane, West Coast Dogman, has a question for you. He says, "Are you still part of the NADP, and have you had any recent Dogman encounters?"
Yes, I am. I am still the Michigan lead investigator, and I have not received any reports as of this year yet. So I don't know what all is being reported or who's taking the reports, but I have not received any recently.
Good deal.
Uh-oh, Krista, we need to go.
Need to go to Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to go back.
Don't know about that. I don't know. There's so many places to go to. Honestly, I mean, I don't think all dogmen are in one place. Or
No.
Oh no, they're spread out. They're spread out.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's go back on Ghost real quick, and then we'll talk.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to talk about my bathroom experience one time. Okay, so Chris and I know this place. It's Potosi. We've been there several times, and we love this place. Anyway, so the bathroom in this house is downstairs, and it's off in the corner from the office. So here I am. There's nobody in the house except for one person, and they're upstairs. So I go towards the bathroom, like I'm going to go to the bathroom, and I audibly heard somebody go, "Hey." I said, okay, thanks, but I'll wait. And that was it. That was it. I'm not going to the bathroom. Forget it. Just nope.
And there's another place that's kind of my home base is the Ray County Museum in Richmond, Missouri. And there in the main bathroom there, a ghost does like to come in there. However, if you ask him to leave the bathroom, he will. So, he tries,
okay.
but
What is it with spirits in bathrooms? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but at least
It's like they think they have a captive audience. They're like, well, if they're on the pot, well, they're not going to move.
Well, at least at the museum, at least they're respectful and they will leave when asked.
Right.
So, yeah, when I'm peeing, I want to be by myself. I don't want anybody in there, dead or alive,
Excuse me, I need privacy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So do you do many investigations? Are you active and out, researching ghost type stuff?
Yes. I own Squatch GQ publishing, and one of the magazines that I produce is Into the Liminal Abyss Paranormal Magazine. So I am always looking for paranormal locations to investigate and to do articles about. And so I try to do at least 4 a year, um, sometimes more, depends on, oh, and there's the cat. Go on.
And there's the cat.
That is Kayla cat for everybody who's like, oh my gosh, she's being attacked. Talking about captive audiences, because my animals know when I'm doing a podcast, and that's when they, are like, hey, she can't go anywhere. We've got her to ourselves. But so this year I've got a couple of different locations lined up, and I don't really like to tell people like the locations I'm going to unless it's members of my team, just because people like to hoax and they like to, play practical jokes. And I'm like, I don't have time to waste, trying to document something if somebody is just doing it to, be a prankster or a hoaxer or something like that.
Right.
So, I generally keep the locations that I'm going to investigate under wraps, so that I don't have to deal with somebody faking stuff.
Yeah, I know what you mean about that. As far as paranormal, we don't mind like saying where we're going to be paranormal wise, but when we do something, we do the LBL and we don't put it out there before we go. When we do any of that type of thing, we don't, for sure. Just because, we don't, as you said, there are a lot of hoaxers, and we don't want any part of that. And I actually investigated it's a very well-known haunted location, and the owner hoaxed while our team we were holding an overnight investigation, and we seen what she was doing, and we jumped her. We're like, heck no, this is our reputation.
Right.
Don't do that. You don't even need to do it in this place. There's plenty. It's a very haunted, active location. And so, yeah, I get it. Most definitely. Yeah. So where is, do you just stick around Michigan mainly?
No, actually I travel quite a bit. When the weather and opportunities present themselves. So in the past, I've gone to Gettysburg, New York, Vermont, Maryland, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky. So I do travel.
Good deal. What's your favorite place?
I like Gettysburg, even though it's getting a little bit too commercialized. Yeah. And people are always, trying to ghost hunt there. I've always, really liked just touring, the battlefields of Gettysburg, because even though I've been there probably, I want to say 8 different times over the years, I always find new monuments or ones that I didn't even know existed. Yeah. And it's always interesting to find those and to, see that part of what's, left over. So Gettysburg is always a favorite. And then like the whole state of Wisconsin is just cool. I mean, they've got so many different weird and interesting things there. From vampires to UFOs to Circus World. In Wisconsin's only 5 hours away. So Wisconsin's always an interesting, weekend trip.
Yeah. I've never been to Gettysburg, but it is on my bucket list. And last Thursday, we had the Kling brothers on here, and Brad and Barry, that's where they, kind of got their paranormal interest,
Right.
An encounter out there at Gettysburg. So
many encounters. It sounds like they have encounters every time they go.
Right. But Gettysburg, that is definitely a bucket list. And maybe that's something, Brandy, you and I can talk about maybe doing next year or something,
It's definitely worth going. Even if you just go once, it's wonderful. Just getting out on the battlefields, the impressions that you get, and the just the energy that you will feel. If I can recommend 2 places to go, it would be Devil's Den and Little Round Top. And if you do not have a paranormal experience at either one of those, then it just ain't going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that. I've heard that about that place. So it's definitely on my bucket list because I'm a history buff too, especially Civil War history. So
Well, listening to what the Brad and Barry were talking about, maybe we should go with them. They're talking about renting like a tour bus,
I'm
driving
ready.
us from spot to spot, just dropping us off, picking us up. I love it.
Now,
Let's do that.
last time I was there was about 2 years ago, and the cicadas were in full activity. So it was literally like driving through, like you would be driving around in like this weird soundtrack from a horror movie playing because of the cicadas. And they were so huge that they were just landing on people, and people are like running around screaming as these things are landing on them. And I'm like, yep, that's a cicada. They're big enough to be Mothman. I mean, they're as long as your thumb and as thick as your thumb, and they just make these really weird high-pitched droning noises, and they were everywhere.
And they're loud.
Oh yes,
they are so loud.
Oh yes.
I'm not a fan of, I call them crunchy bugs.
Crunchy bugs.
Yeah, like those June bugs too. I don't do those either.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
it's just kind of like you'd like to say, once you're out there and you're trying to listen for something, you're like, will you just be quiet, please?
Oh yeah, no, they were. It was like, is there anybody here? And you hear, and it was so loud. Like when I was driving into Gettysburg, because I actually stayed at the 1812 Hoover House, because a couple of my friends owned it, so I was staying at the bed and breakfast there, which that place is haunted too. But as I'm driving into Gettysburg, I like pulled my truck over, and I was like, what the hell is my engine making that sound for? And like I turned off my truck and like went to get out of my truck, and I was like, that's not my truck making that noise. I was like, what is that? And I was like, that's the cicadas. That's ooh. They were so loud. It was just like you were driving around in a horror movie set. It was like, okay, this is this is getting a little too unnerving.
Right. Real quick, shout out to Anelia. Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Thank you. See, I call her Anne. I don't want to murder her name because I'll look at it and see it different every time I see it. Anne, thank you.
I'm awful with names. I slaughter them. So a lot of times when you guys are hearing me like to say first names, that's why. So yeah, a lot of people are in the chat are commenting a lot of different experiences and things they've had at Gettysburg. So it's definitely going to be a go-to for
yeah, a lot of people are talking about it, and it just makes me want to go. But do you find it expensive to go out there? I mean, a lot of people say it is an expensive trip.
It's depending on where you're driving from. So being in Michigan, it's about a 10-hour drive once you add in, bathroom breaks and gas stops and stuff like that. But you can find reasonable accommodations, and really the prices of food are not bad. The things you have to watch out for is like the tourist traps, the souvenir places. So if you add that budget in of knowing, okay, I'm probably going to want to get a shirt and a book and a couple other things, then you know that you're going to spend that money. And also in today's day and age, you can price check, everything. So the haunted tours and things like that, which I highly recommend. There's one that the Farnsworth House does that is very, very good. So definitely check into those, and because they take you around and they tell you the different experiences at each location. And it's really, a great way to do Gettysburg. And then if you get sick of Gettysburg, Hershey World is like within, I think, 2 hours of there. So, you can go check out Hershey World, get some chocolate, and, be happy there. So,
well, there you go.
Very cool. Tex, I want to thank you. Thank you, Tex, very much for the donation. We appreciate you too.
Yeah, you can go on over to Texas Front Porch. It sounds like he put out a little video of Name That Critter. He loves that to do that to us. So go on over there after the show, give it a listen, and leave in the comments what you think that critter is.
Yep. And Randy says at Tex, quit sucking up. That's all good. All good. Real quick, too, we have a question about the cicadas. So I'm going to put that up there.
Sure.
Anelia asked, do cicadas stop buzzing when Dogman is around?
I do not know, because they were not being quiet at all when we were there, and it went from, I want to say, 5:30 in the morning till about midnight every single day.
Wow.
Just this constant droning and noise that just was, you know, almost like a white noise, but it was so overpowering that and it came in waves. Like it would soften a little bit, and then they would, then crescendo right back up. So it wasn't like you actually got a break from them, unless you had your car radio turned up all the way to drown them out, or you were away from the woods well enough that, you weren't really getting, bothered by them. But I drove down to Maryland to look for shark teeth, and I'm like watching people on motorcycles, like the cicadas are literally bouncing off their helmets, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm surprised people aren't wrecking because of these things.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Well, I've heard people say that when they have encounters of Dogman, that it's kind of like everything becomes silent.
Mm-hmm.
Have you gotten those reports before?
The usually when I get the reports, it's during the colder winter months that people have sightings of them. So insects are usually not that active in the winter months. If it warms up to like a 40-degree day and the sun's out, maybe the mosquitoes will activate and you might see one or two flying around. But most of the reports I get are during, the colder months, and
it's silent
when there's no leaves on the trees, when all the crops are cut down, and people, just happen to be driving past a field and see something that maybe they don't ever, want to admit that they saw, or have a hard time admitting they saw. So, it's not that I don't think that they go quiet. It's the reports that I've gotten have all been in seasonal weather where there's just no insects out there.
Right. Gotcha. Have you yourself had a Bigfoot or a Dogman?
Yes.
Or you have?
So I've had three different occasion sightings.
Mm-hmm.
And the one wasn't actually a sighting, it was footprints that I found.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one happened, I was visiting my mom up in Ely, Minnesota. She is the black bear curator for the North American Dogman, or the North American Bear Center up there. And we had gone up to Winnipeg for the weekend, came back home, and this was when I drove up there, it was the last week of October. So the deer were literally just road killing themselves. There was deer carcasses everywhere. And then when I went to come home, I was actually trying to outrun a storm that was coming through. And I left Ely, was driving into Virginia, Minnesota. And to do this, you take a 2-lane highway to a 4-lane highway. Mm-hmm. Virginia is the next biggest town. Ely is a very small town. They only have a Dairy Queen, a Subway, and I think a Domino's. That's their fast foods.
Wow.
They only have like 3 gas stations, so it's a very small,
Mm-hmm.
town. And it's really like people go there like spring through fall for hunting, fishing, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot of people, except for the people who usually stick around during the wintertime. So as I am getting onto the on-ramp to go up onto the highway, and at that time I was driving a Jeep Wrangler Sport, and as I start onto the on-ramp, my headlights catch 2 big, thick, furry legs. And it went fog light, thick, furry leg, tall grass, thick, furry leg,
Mm-hmm.
fog light. Wherever the head and chest of this animal was, it was higher than what my head was in my Jeep. So standing outside my Jeep, I'm 5'8". I could put my chin just on the roof of my Jeep. So that means that the head and neck of this animal were about 7 feet.
Wow.
And I distinctly remember the hair on the legs, because the only thing that I could describe it as was like a black Newfoundland dog that's been kept outside year round.
Wow.
Matted, patchy, but sunburned. Where
Mm-hmm.
it should be black, it's got like a brownish red tinge to it from being out in the weather and elements. It was not a black bear, because all the black bear were hibernating by that time. It was not a moose, because moose do not have hair like that on their legs.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
also, there are no reported moose in that area of Minnesota. So I got about a 15-second sighting of it. And at the time, I had the little tiny Motorola flip phone by T-Mobile. And I got up onto the 4-lane highway, and I thought, I know what I saw. I should go back down and take a picture of it. And I'm like, how good of a picture is that going to turn out to be? Is it actually going to be anything that people can discern what it is? And then as I'm sitting there thinking, going, you're in a soft-sided Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you cut across the medium, go back down, come around, if you make this thing angry, it's going to flip your Jeep. How is that phone call going to go? Because obviously I have to call my mom. And after I explain that it was a Bigfoot, she might believe me. But the police officers and the tow truck driver are going to be like, you fell asleep at the wheel.
And your insurance company.
Yeah, it's like, So I knew what I saw, and I had been sitting there for probably 30 seconds debating on what I was doing. And then the kind of, not paranoia, but the creepiness of it, started to set in. I was like, I probably shouldn't just be sitting here, still. So I started driving down to Duluth, and then I was like, and I'm playing out scenarios in my head of, what if they can call ahead? What if there's other Bigfoot in the area and it knows that I've seen them? So what if one of them hurls a rock through my windshield?
Right.
And so all these things start to, play on my mind. So I didn't really feel safe until I was crossing over the bridges in Duluth to Superior, Wisconsin, and then going through the UP home. But certainly the UP is where I have gotten a lot of interesting sightings. I had a sighting where, because of road construction, I had to detour off of the normal route, which was kind of unnerving, because the UP is not a place that you want to make too many wrong turns.
Sure.
Because
No.
you can quickly get into the middle of nowhere and have no resources. Like, okay, make sure you have a full tank of gas. So I was coming up on a stop sign, and I had just stopped at the stop sign, and I was looking ahead, and I noticed a very large animal moving out of the woods and approaching the road. And this was probably about 300 feet in front of my vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And in one movement, it went from the side of the road, touched down to the middle of the road, was onto the other side of the road, and then running off into the woods.
Wow.
Now, most people say, oh, it was just a black bear. And no, there was things about this creature that did not fit the cookie cutter mold of black bears. And I know what black bears look like because when I go up to my mom's house in Minnesota, I sit out in the driveway and throw peanuts to them and marshmallows. I
Wow.
know what black bears look like. I've been within 6 feet of wild black bears.
Absolutely.
I know that they come in, a couple different shapes and sizes, but generally bear shaped. This was not bear shaped.
Yeah.
This was a lot leaner and more agile and cleared that distance on the road with no effort.
Mm-hmm.
So was it a Bigfoot? Was it a Dogman?
Right.
Or was it something else?
Right.
Because it was getting dark. It was, dusk, and this creature was very dark. I could see that it had a muzzle, it had ears, and it was muscular. And the sighting only lasted for, I want to say about, 15 seconds or so, because as I'm watching it travel across the road and I'm sitting there at the stoplight, I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait till it gets across the road before I, drive towards it, because I don't really want to, have this, interaction with this animal, because I don't know what its intentions are.
Right.
And then another interesting, not encounter, but sighting that I had was I was on my way up to the Menominee Bigfoot conference last June. And I had stopped at the rest area that is right there outside of Newaygo. It's right on the shores of Lake Michigan. It's a very nice rest stop. Has a little gazebo that goes down onto the beach. Very lovely. But what I'm going to tell you next will probably make you not want to go down onto that beach. So I had my little 7-pound ninpin with me, who thinks she's a hellhound. She definitely thinks she's like the gatekeeper, the keymaster from Ghostbusters. So I was walking her up and down the beach, trying to get her to do something. And I had walked to the west of the gazebo, and she did, her pee-peeing. And then I was like, well, there's I always see this, gully, this cut through over there, and I wanted to take pictures of it. So started walking down there, and when I walk her, she has a harness on, and usually about a 15-foot lead.
Mm-hmm.
So my concentration was taking different pictures of the stream cut through, and I had her clipped, to my body, with her lead. So I knew she wasn't going anywhere. And I had gotten a couple of pictures, and the next instant, I hear her making her, I don't like the smell of this, sneeze.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm like, we're on sand. What could you not like the.
Right.
And so I look down, and she is indicating. Now, I have done some tracking with her and trained her for tracking, so she knows how to pick up a scent trail, but she didn't need to pick up or follow this trail because it was quite obvious. So as I look down, here is this set of bipedal footprints going from the roadside through down onto the beach, over the beach, and down into the water. Now, these foot tracks, I took a picture of them, and this foot track was over half the size of my foot. I wear a women's size 11 shoe.
Wow.
It was wider, and I have wide feet. It was wider than my foot and over half the length of my foot.
Wow.
My miniature pincher's
That's
paw print.
amazing.
My miniature pincher's paw print is the size of a quarter.
Yeah.
Her paw print easily fit into one of the toe pads.
Wow.
So I took pictures of this, and of course, not expecting to find evidence on the beach as I'm walking my dog to potty her.
Sure.
I put my foot right next to the track to take the picture of it. I lined it up so that they were about level. And then when I got to Menominee, Ken Gearhart was there, Allison Jornlin was there, Barnaby Jones was there, Jay Bachlan was there. And I was like, hey guys, come here. Let me show you something. So everybody looked at it and I was like, no, you tell me what that is. And Ken's like, well, it's not a Bigfoot. I'm like, no kidding. And he's like, that looks canine to me. It's not, a big cat. He's like, yeah, probably Dogman. And I said, that's what I was thinking. And so, and everybody always wants to know, okay, where's this location at? Really easy to find. It's the rest stop that's right there on Lake Michigan shoreline, right out of, is it Newaygo? I think it's Newaygo. And it's the one with the really nice gazebo that goes down off the beach. Now, the scary thing about this is that trail of footprints led out to the water. I did not see where it led back into land.
Wow.
That trail of footprints was only about 100 feet from the gazebo.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Shetan, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to finish this when we come back.
Sure.
We do have to take a 5-minute break.
Okay.
So everybody stay tuned and we will finish this story. And it's pretty cool. I'm all about this cryptid thing. Like I said, I tell everybody knows Randy and I are new to this and we're all about it. So definitely when we come back, we'll talk more. So everybody stay tuned and we will be back in just 5 minutes.
Four minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. Three minutes. We're almost there. 2-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us. Real quick, I want to remind everybody to go and like Texas Front Porch, Bigfoot, Michigan, Rob. Sorry, my dog is wagging his tail and hitting the chair. But, and us. And it doesn't matter who you watch it on. Just go like all of us, if you would, please. Jason McLean questions everything, as well as the Van Buren Variety Show. Go and give us all a subscribe, if you would, please. We would.
And I saw my friend Karen out there in chat. If you're still there, Karen, I showed everybody at the beginning of the show.
Yep. And also today we had Red Creek Mafia on brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and he's got an incredible encounter. So for those of you who missed it today, he had an encounter with Bigfoot a couple times, and I highly recommend going over and watching that too. So it's definitely worth the watch. And again, thank you, Anelia, and thank you, Tex, twice for the donations.
Thank you.
All right, let's get back on it.
Okay.
We're kind of racking up some questions too, by the way.
Sure.
Yeah. We do have questions. People are, that's another thing. If anybody has the questions, I am seeing them and I am starring them. And whenever Shetan is ready for questions, we'll go to questions. But I want to hear the rest of her encounter first. So
okay.
Anyway.
This set of tracks was only about 100 feet from that gazebo, and that gazebo is only 5 feet from the parking lot of a very popular rest area stop that is frequented by human beings 24 hours a day. So this creature that left this set of tracks was not afraid of human beings.
Wow.
Did not have any issue with walking on the beach, whether it was early morning or, late at night, knowing that humans were coming in and out of that location, at any time.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Brandy, were you going to say something?
Well, I want to say something real quick. Clayton Blackwell, if you can't make donations, that's fine. Just subscribe, keep watching. We love you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we don't want anybody to feel obligated. However, they are appreciated, but we would much rather you subscribe,
be here
and watch us.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. So anyway, go ahead, Brandy.
Oh, no, I said what I had to say. I just said,
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, Shetan, you're up. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Shetan, it's your
So
turn.
that
Yay!
so that has been my three cryptid experiences with actually seeing something that um, I know what I saw, and them being, to me, easily discernible from a black bear, a moose, or any other creature that could, people might say, oh, hey, no, that's what you saw. It was a black bear. No, it wasn't a black bear.
Wow. So let's go. Brandy and I are a little woo. So let's go to a little woo side.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on, all of this being intertwined? Have you seen orbs when you've had encounters with these creatures, or do you believe they're pretty much flesh and blood?
So with Bigfoot, I do believe that most of the Bigfoot are a flesh and blood creature that is documented in our fossil record here on Earth. Dogman, no. I believe that they are interdimensional or alien in nature because we just do not have any evidence of them in the fossil record. We do have the dire wolf, but the dire wolf is a quadruped and is adapted to being a quadruped, not a bipedal. So that means these creatures are coming from somewhere. And when we, add in interesting things like Mothman, lizard people, these are not things that originate here on Earth. So where are they coming from?
Right.
So they either have to be
Real-
interdimensional or alien.
Right. Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Red Creek Mafia. Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Shetan, we Brandy and I are on the same path as you. The same. I believe. However, as far as Bigfoot, my views, I'm a little on the woo side with them as well.
Well, I say most of the time the sightings are a flesh and blood, creature that's originated from here, on Earth. But there are a certain percentage that maybe those are also alien or interdimensional because we don't have a grasp on how interdimensional travel works.
Right.
Or what different alien species are out there in the universe. And if they can come here and visit us, that means they're a lot more advanced than we are.
Absolutely.
We can barely get a satellite into space without it blowing up. So if they have the technology to come here and observe us, interact with us, do whatever it is that they are coming here to do, then they certainly have an advantage over us. And, it's best not to provoke that.
Right. Absolutely. I just, I was strictly flesh and blood for Dogman, Bigfoot, all of it, I figured, in my thoughts, they could all be killed, but I got to tell you, diving deeper into this and talking to, credible eyewitnesses, that I have no doubt there's some kind of woo to it, just because it's, people see, portals and, things like that, or they see UFOs when they have a Bigfoot experience, or, there's something more to that. That's just not, people don't have those encounters on the same day if they weren't together. I just feel, most definitely. So I'm going to get to some questions here.
Sure.
Several questions. So let's start here at the top.
They're stacking up over here.
Yes. So I think this goes back when the bathroom incident. Be kind, ask Shetan, did you hear this with your ears like we hear you now, or inside your head? And I think you did answer that. The voice.
Oh, it was, so the voice that I heard in the public bathroom was definitely out loud and wasn't in my head. It was a audible voice.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick, Gary asked, how much is the Dogman conference? Honestly, I don't remember, but I would be happy to send you the link, and I'll see if I can find it, and I can post the the Eventbrite link in the chat here before we get off too. So I'm not sure. I think there's different tiers for this conference that you can buy, if I remember correctly. Next question is for Shetan. You may have answered this, but do you suppose the spirit was resident to the public place or that it is attached to you?
It wasn't attached to me. It was a resident of the Mackinac City area, which is built on a former French settlement. So it's, Mackinac Island and Mackinac City both have a lot of history to them. And it's a ghost that is there, it's not attached to me. It lives up there. So
speaking of attachments, have you ever brought anything home or had an attachment?
Nope. I am a firm believer of you take the precautions so nothing comes home. I carry peppermint with me to eat, add into my tea because that is a protective herb that keeps the paranormal from attaching to you. I wear teal or haint blue. My bedroom is haint blue and nothing is allowed to come home with me.
Yep, I agree. Brandy and I, we also, we have protection when we go and do these type things as well. So it's smart to do. And, for us, it's about your intention. So I know people who don't carry anything. However, they pray and they do all this.
Right.
They go to a haunted location or whatever it may be. I think it's about what you truly believe in myself. Next question, Titan 70 asks, Shetan, have you encountered or heard of instances of Bigfoot and Dogman working in correlation? There seems to be two schools of thought on this.
So no, they don't work together. And I say this because it's been well documented with Bigfoot researchers that when a dog man moves into a Bigfoot's territory, the Bigfoot leave. Because it's usually not just one dog man that comes into the territory, it's a pack. So if you are a female with offspring, it's much easier to gather up your offspring, move to a different location than it is to try to protect yourself and your offspring from a pack of dog man that are going to eat you. So no, they do not work together. They are two very separate animal cultures, and they don't. No, the Bigfoot leave if a dog man comes into their territory.
Gotcha. Okay. Next question. Facebook user, which it's Sarah. She says, how common is it to see or hear one? And I believe she meant Dogman.
I think we get just as many reports of Dogman as we do Bigfoot. And it really depends on two things. One, for a report to be made, the human being who encounters it has to make it back to civilization and make a report to the authorities or to the BFRO or to the North American Dogman Project. Right. If they have the encounter and they're so scared that they never make a report, then nobody knows that it ever happened.
Okay. Let's see. There's more here. Shetan, did the upright canine track have an elongated heel? Karen asks.
No, because it was only the paw print itself that was pushed into the ground. Now, I weigh about 175 pounds. I was not leaving any indentations into the sand. This creature, these tracks were at least a half inch into the ground.
Wow. All right, next question. Red Creek Mafia asks, how many encounters have you had?
I have had 2 separate live creature sightings and the one encounter where I found the tracks.
Okay. So I know you do a little bit of everything. What do you think? Do you have a passion for more one thing over the other, or how do you?
I personally love my lake monsters. I do have a book out on lake monsters and odd creatures of the Great Lakes. I also have a book on flying cryptids of the Midwest, beyond Mothman. But for the magazines, I cover everything. So obviously, I get a lot more Bigfoot and Dogman reports and interviews and encounters, but I take information about all different cryptids.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What is the most common?
I would say at this point in time, it's probably a tie between Bigfoot and Dogman.
Okay. I wonder why that is, Bigfoot and Dogman, because you do hear people, having like a Jersey Devil, encounter or something. Why?
Yeah, I think it depends on the part of the country that you're in. Here in the Midwest, we have the resources and the terrain that basically gives a good living environment for Bigfoots and for Dogman. And what I generally tell people is anywhere that you have farms, anywhere that you have fruit orchards, gardens, anything that attracts deer,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you have those two things, you have the potential for Bigfoot or Dogman.
How do you feel about cave systems? You hear that a lot. With these encounters, there's a lot of cave systems in these areas. Do you think they use them?
It depends, like I said, on the location that you're in. Here in Michigan, we don't have a whole lot of cave systems. But we certainly have a lot of Bigfoot reports and a lot of Dogman reports. But what we do have are very nice forests.
Yeah.
That are vast acreages of wildness where they can just do whatever they want without, encountering a human if they don't choose to.
Yeah. Gotcha.
See, Krista, when I say when I was young, I'm surprised I'm still alive because I was out wandering around in those.
Right. Right. Exactly. I want to make a comment here. Be Kind said, did anyone else hear something when Shetan was answering the first question from Titan? And I did not hear anything personally. I'll have to go back and listen. However, I do want to let everybody know my 200-pound dog is in the same room with me, and he moves around a lot. So I will go back and listen.
I have a Siamese cat sitting next to me purring.
Yeah. So we'll definitely go back and listen to see if we hear anything, but it could be her cat or my dog. So
yeah.
Most definitely. Let's see. Clayton talks about the Jersey Devil is a giant form of a hammerhead bat. Likewise, the Mongolian deathworm is an evolved form of a bloodworm. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Let's see. What are your feelings on like the Jersey Devil and things like that?
So with the Jersey Devil, you do have that legend of Mother Leeds giving birth to her 13th child and cursing it and it becoming the Jersey Devil. Mm-hmm. And there is documentation that a woman with the last name of Leeds did live in that area. But they also documented that there was lots of illegal trading going on. So it is possible that, non-native species were imported and escaped. So could it be a hammerhead bat? It really comes down to getting that evidence and either getting it on film or finding the eDNA of it or, finding something that, is living in that area that fits that description.
Mm-hmm. Right. Do you get many reports of like gugways and like different types of Bigfoots or anything like that? Because gugways, they're pretty badass. And how common is a gugway report?
So I don't really get a whole lot of the Bigfoot reports, just because we do have a very good collection of Bigfoot researchers here in Michigan. Mm-hmm. And I do talk to a lot of them. Basically the Bigfoot reports that we get are just your, I want to say typical Bigfoot, the dark 7 foot tall, hairy Bigfoots, that like their woods and don't like it when hunters or hikers come in there and do what they can to make sure you feel uncomfortable and you leave.
Yeah. On the different types of dogmen, and I've seen all the variants. What is the most common that you get reports of?
The more wolf-like one.
More wolf-like one.
Yep.
Do you know of any of them to be like, the hyena-like or the wolf-like one more aggressive than the other, or it doesn't matter? Dogman's dogman.
Dogman is dogman.
Gotcha.
So, it's with Bigfoot. If you see a Bigfoot while you're out hiking, it's because the Bigfoot screwed up and you weren't supposed to see it. If you see a dogman when you're out hiking, it's because the dogman wants you to see it, wants you to focus in on it, so that you don't pay attention to the pack that's surrounding you.
Wow. Yeah.
So when you understand animal behavior, when you understand their perceived hunting strategies, then you realize that it's not the one you see that you need to worry about. It's the ones that are coming in around you and setting up the trap.
I could definitely see that.
Real quick, let's go back to the sound that everybody's hearing. Now, my 12-year-old is right behind me in her room, and I heard her rustling around, but I've not heard her giggle. But I'll go back to see if it's her giggle, though.
Yeah.
Because it may be. I'm not paying attention to her.
So, Red Creek Mafia, Shetan, do you have a YouTube channel?
I don't really. I did when I was doing my own podcast.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything like recent uploaded to it, because I went from doing my podcast show to writing articles for Squatch GQ magazine and all the different magazines that the company owned. And then I became the owner of Squatch GQ. So all of my time is spent writing and producing Squatch GQ magazine and its sister publications.
Gotcha. And to answer about Brandy, I guess she could answer it, but she's my partner with Blondes and Booze. So this is her channel as well. And she also does, if you're looking to sit for Brandy on another show, she does Texas Front Porch on Monday evenings at 8 p.m. Central also.
Yep.
So with Tex. Yep. So
that's Tex is spelled TEX''S.
Yeah.
But I suppose you could find it if you spelled out Texas.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Scott asks, what's the most saturated area in Michigan?
Any place that has woods, deer, and farms.
Yeah.
Which is most of Michigan.
Yeah. Right. So this is on the noises that they heard. Be Kind says, for later, there's a giggle when Shetan starts to answer Titan's first question. Then again, when you say, speaking of attachments.
See, I'm not saying it's her because I haven't really heard her, but I've not been paying attention. But she's right behind this wall, right behind me. So it may be, but I will listen because it wouldn't surprise me if it isn't.
Okay. Right. And honestly, like, Brandy and I have been doing this long enough, and we both have teenage kids, and they all know when it's showtime, you be quiet.
Yeah, they're pretty quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, they know better. They definitely know better.
So you're probably right. If you're hearing a giggle, it's probably not her.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Shane, I got to give you a shout out. We love you, buddy. We appreciate that. Definitely.
Thank you, Shane.
Most definitely.
We appreciate you.
And Clayton says, cryptids are not bulletproof, but you have to hit them in the head or neck or side to bypass the heavy muscle density. I don't know. I've never, I don't know. Today on Rob's show, he talked about, he had his hand on the trigger, but could not pull it because it looked so human-like. So I'm not sure I could pull the trigger, honestly. Could you guys?
Depends. It depends on the situation, and if I was in physical danger or my dogs were going to be in physical danger. Either one of those things, and it comes down to me or them, and I'm going to pick me and my dogs over the Bigfoot. So
yeah, well, with me it's just kind of like human, inhuman, it doesn't matter. You're going to cause me harm,
right.
I'm going to do what I can. So it is what it is.
Yep. And Titan 70, you can ask us, and definitely either this evening or tomorrow. I will definitely, Brandy and I will both.
I'll have to rewatch it tomorrow because I get up at 3 a.m. for work, so it won't be tonight.
Yeah, she'll do it before tomorrow's show. Shetan, have you ever encountered any type of demonic while on location?
No, not that I can speak of. The only negative experience I've ever had was me and my aunt and my cousin used to like to go during late October to different cemeteries and test out our paranormal equipment. And we had gone to this very small one, and when we got out of my vehicle, I thought I saw a cat hiding under a pine tree. So being concerned for it, I was calling to it, and it did have the eye shine to it, and it wouldn't come. So we did our little investigation, and it wasn't until after I dropped them off at home at their house, and then I got home to my house. And one of the things I do when I get home from a paranormal investigation or cemetery or anything like that is I will take a peppermint bath. Peppermint is a protective herb, and it strips all that away. So I threw a couple of peppermint tea bags into the hot water and let it get brewing. And then I got in, and as soon as I put my left hand into the water, it stung. And I had not noticed anything up until that point. And when I pulled my hand back out of the water, I had 3 scratch marks across the back of my hand.
Wow.
So something in that location that we were at did not like the fact that we were there. And I didn't feel it when it scratched me initially, but as soon as my hand hit the, peppermint water that is, protective, that it stung. And then it was like, oh, you little, you little shit. So no, it was neutralized right then and there with the peppermint bath. But that was the one and only time that I've had to deal with something that was a little bit cranky, didn't want us there. So
right, totally understand that. I've had a couple myself. I've been choked a couple times, and
oh wow.
Oh yeah, scratched. I've had my hair pulled. Yeah, the whole 9 yards. Next question. This is a great question. Titan 70 asks, Shetan, have you or any of your team heard the metallic sounds that others have encountered?
In
like a Dogman or a Bigfoot type.
Okay, I was going to say
because I've heard this before myself with people who have.
So no, I did not hear any metallic sounds because when I had my 2 sightings, I was inside my vehicle and had music playing. So I did not hear anything, out of the ordinary. And when I was walking my dog up and down the beach and we saw the foot tracks, there was no creature present that had left the foot tracks.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Have you heard whistles out in the forest or anything? Because that is something Brandy and I have witnessed was whistles.
I know that they do make whistling sounds, and they do make different bird calls. And whether they've done it while I'm out hiking or not, I guess I'm paying more attention to how my dogs are reacting to things, because they are the first indicator. If something is not right, then they will start picking up onto it and reacting to it. And then it's, okay, time to assess the scenario that we're in and see if we're in danger. Do we need an escape plan? But certainly I haven't heard any like whistles.
Yeah, gotcha.
Well, Krista, that means your dog's out. We can't take Haas. He just lay down.
No, he'd go up to Dogman, be pet me, pet me.
He's like, yay, yay. It's my cousin.
Yeah, I have a 200-pound English Mastiff, and he loves everybody. He does not have a mean bone in his body.
No.
I have a old Connie Corso Mastiff. She's my big dog, and then I've got my 7-pound miniature pincher and her 2 babies, who are 2 years old now, but they are their daddy's a toy poodle, so they're very well. You met Connor at the Potograph, so that's one of her babies is Connor.
Yeah. Aww.
Wow,
Mr. Handsome.
How many dogs do you have?
So I have my old Mastiff, and I have an old Min Pin, and then I've got Teagun, my Min Pin, and then her 2 babies.
Yep. Wow.
And a Siamese cat.
I thought my 3, I had a house full. Wow, you got me beat.
Yeah.
Well, when I was younger, I used to run a boarding kennel and was used to running a boarding kennel filled with, it had 30 runs, so up to 60 dogs on any given day, and then showing and grooming. So that's nothing.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking here for more questions.
Everybody's talking about their dogs and their pets. And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, I'm all about the dogs too. I'm a dog and horse person. Honestly, I'm kind of turned into a cat person later in life, and I don't have one right now. But it's not
Cats
that
are good.
Yeah, I like cats, and I know a lot of people don't, but I personally do. But yeah, fortunately,
Well, their purr just has a soothing effect on you, especially when they lay on you and they purr. It really does. It just calms you right down.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. So what do you have coming up, Shetan?
So I have the West Virginia Paranormal Tourism Conference this coming Saturday. And then next weekend is the Kiamichi Bigfoot Conference in Oklahoma.
Flyers for that. Yeah, I've seen the flyers for that. Yeah.
And then my next event after that would be here in Michigan at Chaos Con in June.
Very cool. You stay busy like we do.
Oh, yeah.
And where can we find your books at?
So you can find all of my books and magazines on Amazon.com. If you type in Squatch GQ magazine, that will bring up all of the magazines, field journals, all that I have available. And any of the other books that I've written are under Shetan Noir.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Well, we are coming up to the 1.5 hour mark, and I know Brandy gets up at 3:00 in the morning. Well, you got to be at work at 3 or something. What is it?
At 4:45, but I get up at 3 so I can get myself around. Plus, it's a 40-minute drive to work. So yeah.
Yeah. No thanks. I'm glad. I'm glad I don't have to get up that early, and I get up and go in pretty early. So
yeah, it's like when I work a half day, it's like everybody's thinking like it's 12 or 1. I'm like, no, I've already put in 7 hours, 8 hours by then.
Right. Exactly. Well, Shetan, we thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on, and it was definitely nice meeting you in Michigan face to face. I always like having guests on that I've met. You know what I'm saying. It's great having people we haven't, but however, I like when we have met people, and it was definitely great meeting you up there and talking to you there and here.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. It was great to have you.
Enjoyed being on the show, and it was great talking to you guys.
Yeah, and we'll have you on back again sometime.
Sure. Yep.
This was fun. This was very good. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. Tomorrow night, is our big LBL trip. Tomorrow night we have our friends Anna and Michelle and Bart and Letitia Nunley are going to be on and talk about some pretty crazy encounters that were had over the weekend. And Brandy and I had more on the paranormal side, and Michelle and Anna had paranormal and a cryptid sighting, and then Letitia, she had a cryptid sighting. And however, two people that couldn't be on the show, they gave us their accounts of what they saw. And so you guys are going to want to tune into that because it's
going to be a good one tomorrow. Yes.
So we're going to be talking a little bit about everything. So anyway, we appreciate each and every one of you guys. And I just remind everybody, go and subscribe to Texas Front Porch, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, Jason McLean Questions Everything, and the Van Buren Variety Show. Did I get everybody?
Yes. Yeah, I think you got everybody.
So if everybody please go and subscribe to all of us. We definitely appreciate it. And until tomorrow night, same time, same place. Good night.
Bye.